Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? Well, after I made a video a few days ago talking about an objective look at the D20, I kind of took a deep breath and sat back and waited because I suspected that I might have hit a nerve with some people. And sure enough, as the comments started to come in on the YouTube video and in some other places that I had linked the video, what I had anticipated had in fact become true. And people have made all various types of comments about it, but it kind of ushers in this topic that I find really fascinating. And I don't want to talk about the D20 forever. I don't want to make this series about the D20. I really don't even want to make this video about the D20, but I'm going to use it for the example. But this video, it really isn't about that. It's about what happens with us at the table. The kind of dual or parallel experience we have, where we have an experience in the fiction and we have an experience at the table. And this is not rocket science, most of us have figured this out. But when we use the dice, we invoke the system, very often this can kind of exacerbate or show us where this division actually is. And sometimes we fight that. And so I'm going to use this example again for like the third time in 3 videos, but it's an easy one to use. We'll say that we are trying to do a thing. Whatever the thing is really isn't important. And we're going to roll a d20 because that's what this game says we do. And our target number is 13, so we have to roll a 13 or better, and we do the thing. Doesn't matter if it's a saving throw to jump out of the way of the falling rock, or we're trying to climb up something, or we're trying to hit some guy with our mace. That's irrelevant. We need to do a thing. And we need a 13 or better. And what I talked about in the video about the D20 was, when talking about the mechanic itself, if you look at the texts, it's a pass-fail mechanic. There are no degrees of success or failure written into those games, especially the older games that I play. So we could very easily replace that D20 with a D20 that has 8 faces that have little smiley faces on them and 12 faces that are completely blank, and roll that, and mathematically it would be entirely equivalent. We would either get a smiley face, we succeed, or blank, we fail. But it'd be highly inconvenient to have something like 20 D20s, each with the appropriate number of smiley faces on them. So we use these dice that are commercially available, and they have numbers, and this works great. No problem. However, what can often happen is, we roll the die, and at the table, Fred rolls a 12. And we all look at him and say, oh man, you were so close, you just missed. Because he really did just miss. We all know how a number line works. On the table, with that piece of plastic that came up 12, he just missed. And we all feel his pain. Or he rolls a 3, and we all laugh at Fred and say, what the heck is the matter with your guy? Is he stupid? He can't jump out of the way of a rock? Or he can't climb up the wall or do the thing? And we laugh. We kind of laugh at Fred's expense. And, generally it's very good-natured. But there's this experience we're having at the table where very clearly it was a near miss and a terrible miss. Now, in the fiction, with Fred's character, Gork, or whatever we decide his name is, it's very different. According to the rules of the game, that 3 and that 12, they don't mean anything. All they mean is he failed. And if he rolls a 13 or an 18, doesn't matter, he succeeded. In the fiction, there's a very different experience going on. And very often, what I believe a lot of us want to have is for those 2 experiences to become one. And so how we do that is in the with a mechanic that is doesn't have a degree of success or failure. In the absence of that, we create one because it feels more comfortable, which is what a lot of the responses I ended up getting back were. And it feels more appropriate. And so we want that 12 to mean something in the fiction where it was a near miss, and the 3 to mean an abysmal failure. That feels comfortable to us. And very often, what we don't necessarily take into account is maybe there's a different game out there with a different system which already has a degree of success or failure built into it. Maybe it works much better than the one we're using. And this video is not to argue about whether or not we can do that with a D20. That's not the point. It's what I find fascinating is the desire of a lot of us to want to make those 2 experiences one. Other people may actually be very comfortable not having them be one and want a really strong frame between themselves and the character, and maybe even between that experience at the table and what's actually happening in the fiction. And other of us just really don't care. It's not a really big deal one way or the other. But that to me is the real fascinating part, because we are having these 2 very different experiences in parallel. And depending on the person, depending on the group, we may or may not really have this very strong desire to make those two experiences come together and feel like one. That, to me, is fascinating.